You kind of caught me off guard here. Okay. Now, thank you, Lord. Help me. Let me pray. Very simple. It takes a lot of money to do that. Oh, yeah. Well, for example, that's really none of your business. But, hey, you listening to me? Let me give you another example. And I prayed about it, and I thought, back when, and I might add another thing, too. It's a misunderstanding. I'm talking about the Bible. God, I get excited talking about it because I love it. I had to learn this, the demons. Abraham was very, very well. I learned it from him, from the Bible.
There's a foundation in the Bible.
Wait a minute now. The blessing of Abraham. Abraham was extremely wise, and he had a covenant with God. I'm talking about the Bible. Oh, God, I love this. And I started out standing my grandfathers. I love the people. Those are the demons. And I understand that, and I love them with all my heart. If you go into the old covenant, and it's full of meanness, it's just full of hell on earth. He made that airplane so cheap for me, I couldn't help but buy it. I love your eyes. Face to face, personally. Just the same as Jesus is very real. They're rulers of the darkness of this world. God bless, Father bless. But it's a biblical thing, it's a spiritual thing. It doesn't have anything to do with people. And it's full of miracles, and signs, and wonders. It's full of unseen things. Jesus, people, I love people. Dragging some woman down an aisle, it made me so mad I wanted to punch the guy out myself. We wrestle not with people. And I have a lot of natural gas.
Welcome everybody to another edition of the Pocket Locker Podcast. That is right, folks. The United States champion of word wrestling entertainment is finally back. Gang, moving fucking sucks. It blows, and then when it is finished sucking and blowing, it starts sucking and blowing some more, and absolutely none of it in the good kind of way. None of it in the good kind of way. Nevertheless, folks, I am in airplane mode. All right, now let's go ahead and get into this. Nothing is set up. Everything's awry. So I don't even know how to do this show. So let's just see if the show even works. Let's see what we can do. Let's try to do some.
Whoa. Is that? Hey, what up? They know my campaign. Now they running up on Roddy like it's second place. They wanna know if I'm on power on the real plane. Landed in Austin and I even brought my own train. Gang, yeah, fuck is they talking about? Link up with Freddie, got it booming cause it's whole south. Then we hit the spot, my OG had it packed out. Getting love in every city, what it's all about. Facts, yeah, know when I'm back home. At the blueprint eating chicken with some bad Jones. And they bad, but not like the one that's at home. And she bad, but not like them kids we had, Lord, yeah. I'm still up in my mode. Hit my connect, he make the code, I run and give and go. Just after once he fucking with me if you didn't know. They said the flame was always on and he always gone. I love you, I want to. You're the one that I live for. I can't take it anymore. But I love you, I need you. What can I do to make you see? You're the only one for me. I told you I'ma just stick to the code. He was me gonna tell me how he been noticing growth. Told all my niggas down on Serrano, let's get this dough. 50 years speech, I'm just saying my niggas gotta glow. Yeah, I thought I changed up, but in fact I just got better at the same stuff. Even when I was a minor, I was major. Independent, I remember how they played us. Yeah, you see it's funny though.
gotta stop that. Oh, look. Oh, now it's a lot of me. All right, here we go. Next is... Oh, here we go. All right.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant.
I got trees. I got Carrie Ann.
I'm not ashamed to say. I hope it always will stay this way. My hat is off. Won't you stand up and take a bow?
All right. Hey, Crystal.
And if we threw a party and invited everyone you knew,
Oh, that's the answer right there.
you would see the biggest gift would be from me. And the card tap would say, thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend.
The longest week ever.
Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend.
If it's a car you like, I'll surely buy you a Cadillac. Anything you need, any time of the day or night.
Good to see you, Mom.
I'm not ashamed to say, I hope it always
Rock
stays
Master's
this way. My hat is off, won't you stand up and take a bow? When we both get older, we'll walk in sticks and hair gray. Have no fear, even though it's hard to hear.
I will stand close and say thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend. Oh, thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend. I wanna tell you about a friend. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend. And when we die,
I think she did ban us pretty much. I know I'm banned. All my accounts are banned.
the Milky Way.
Hell yeah, Carrie.
You hear me call,
It's been hard.
and we'll say, I'll say your name.
I miss you guys.
Then once again, thank you for being a.
Hey, Caddis, so good to see you. All right, gang.
Oh, yeah.
Got
Okay.
one more. Let's see if I've got it in me. If I'm just gonna crash the whole show. All right, so far so
You
good.
got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed, you just remember what your old pal said. But you got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got troubles, but I got 'em too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you. We stick together and we'll see it through. 'Cause you got a friend in me. Some other folks might be a little smarter than I am, bigger and stronger too. Maybe, but none of them is ever gonna love you the way I do. It's me and you. And as the years go by, our friendship will never die. You're gonna see it's my destiny. 'Cause you got a friend in me. 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 Ow!
Nice. All right, gang. It is time to jump into the main event of the evening. And I don't know what to tell you other than I hate myself. I'm not responsible. And when you move, you are supposed to use that shit to like turn over a new leaf, start a new chapter, take on a new adventure, grow, leap into the future, level up in this bitch. But I'm like, look, first off, if it sounds like my voice is bouncing off the walls, that's my voice bouncing off the walls. But I was like, look, I gotta get the old hate chords warmed up. I gotta make sure I still know how to do this, that I can still successfully drink beer, smoke weed, and rant about Christianity. And what better way to make sure I haven't forgotten how to ride this bike than to make fun of some fuckface Rebekah Davis. And gang, I don't know why. It's like the fucking YouTube Inception shit. It shows me some Bread of Life shit on my timeline. I'm like, why am I? Oh, don't do it, Jay. Don't do it. Don't do it. What did she say? No, I gotta hear what this. What did she say? What? And then I listen to it, and then I'm triggered, and then I'm like, I gotta fucking do a whole thing about this because I'm mad as shit. And then it feeds me more fucking Rebekah Davis, and then the vicious cycle of self-abuse continues. So I need to. I don't know. But look. I saw this fucking video and it bothered me. It just bothered me deep into my core. So now you have to fucking suffer through this shit too if you haven't already seen it. And it's Rebekah talking about, is it a sin to be trans? Now, first off, for the sake of the queer fam, let me just get a couple of disclaimers out there. Of course, we're gonna agree. I don't think that being trans is a sin, and it is certainly preferable for a Christian to believe that being trans is not a sin than to be telling us that it is. With that being said, it's the reasoning, the argument, and the articulation of same that really is not sitting well with me. But I do want it to just be very clear. I'm glad she is making this pro-trans, affirmative direction. Like I don't want to. I don't want, like, there's too many real people's lives at stake right now, right? Like, but this is also the problem, right? Because it's like, if you're gonna have to have that conversation, you're gonna have to be willing to actually engage meaningfully in the honest conversation about this issue. And as soon as I said engage meaningfully in the honest conversation, and y'all realize I have Rebekah Davis queued up, y'all already know the problem, right? Rebekah Davis doesn't engage in shit meaningfully or honestly ever. This is the queen of lie, gaslight, and whitewash. And then when in doubt, smile and nod, smile and nod, smile and nod. Oh, let's get to the super chats, right? Like we already know the MO. So let's go ahead and take off on this really bad idea of a why is my screen going out? Come on, we don't have time for technical difficulties right now. All right. Boom. All right. Yep. We're really gonna do this. All right. Here we go.
Is it a sin to be trans?
All right. First off, of course not. No, but also there's no such thing as sin. Grow the fuck up, right? And this is kind of where we start to already get into problematic territory, because she's going to have to hold out a lot of exclusions for things that we actually need to be on the table, because again, we're not going to have an honest, meaningful conversation about that. Instead, we're going to do some fuckface biblical gaslighting. Here we go.
No,
Oh,
it is
great.
not a sin to be
Congratulations.
trans. There is nothing in the Bible that would cause us to
What a
believe
relief.
that being trans is a sin. Well, if that's true, then why do so many Christians think of being trans as sinful? Let's talk through it. Now,
Like, oh yeah, all right. Let go.
some Christians will point to Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 5, and as support that being trans is sinful. And it says, "A woman must not wear men's clothing, nor a man wear women's clothing, for the Lord your God detests anyone who does this." Now, there are some big problems with using this against trans people. First of all, when we're talking about clothing, that is something totally different than the experience of being trans. The experience of having gender dysphoria and feeling like you are one gender and that doesn't match up with your biological expression.
Okay. Now, again, so far, like, I don't know, pretty good for a 9-year-old. First off, I don't like the association of, trans is automatically gender. We should talk about gender dysphoria. That's part of this conversation, but that should not just be your only association or impetus to discuss trans issues. Furthermore, I immediately have problem with the tone of, Rebekah Davis is about to school us on the hard realities of life, because you're going to notice how she just goes all the way up to the edge of leaning into, but not really saying anything meaningful about words like biology or evolution, right? And so she is going to try to educate people on how it really is without being able to, again, speak meaningfully and truthfully about how we actually know what we know about these things and how important that knowledge really is in dealing with and addressing these issues. And again, also, like, for us or cis folks like myself, like we can't try to compartmentalize these issues to make ourselves comfortable, because as we're all hopefully learning, as we you know, get more information from hopefully trans people in our lives, or at least trans sources of information and perspective, trans content creators, I mean, whatever you can do. But we obviously now know that this type of the issue of dress is a huge part of the process. And so while, yes, it is at a very rudimentary level true to be like, yes, this is a distinct issue from cross-dressing, I don't feel comfortable with the way it's like, oh, well, let's put this over here. Like, that passage is about cross-dressing. That's over here. That has nothing to do with the issues that we're dealing with trans people in this country. And I just like, I find that very, again, like disingenuous, right? Because we know that this is a very lengthy process that looks different for different people. And, you know, changing the way one presents and the way one dresses is often a huge part of the process. And some people, as I'm learning, like that's a huge part of it. They don't necessarily maybe always intend to even go beyond that. So or they don't necessarily always choose to go beyond that for a myriad of reasons. And so again, it's problematic to me to try to compartmentalize this in a way just so we can skirt around the issue, because we don't want to deal with the elephant in the room, which is, at least in this country, I'm speaking from the United States of America, we are in the midst of a war on trans people. And it is primarily motivated by the politicization of a particular Christian core ideology. And so it is going to be incredibly important that Christians reflect on what their church, their community, their scriptures have to say about this issue. But again, you're just going to have to do better than this, in my opinion.
That is something totally different than just wearing clothing of the opposite sex. And furthermore, we don't actually know why this verse, why this was sinful to the Lord. There may have been a context that we don't understand. You know, this was written about 3,000 years ago, and there was probably a lot more understanding of what was going on.
All right, gang. Now, if I ever want to make nice with Rebekah Davis, because again, I decide I hate myself even more than I already do, I already know what to get her: a cherry pie. All right. Look, how do I know what Christians' favorite fruit is? You just have to spend time watching what they do. And what is their favorite activity? Motherfucking cherry picking. You already guessed it. Like, this notion of anytime they're challenged with something, all of a sudden we're taking it out of context. And anytime a Christian apologist says to you, you're taking something out of context, 100% you're probably not. That is just a fucking instant gaslighting apologist bullshit technique that is trying to convince you you don't know how to motherfucking read. Then on top of that, I guarantee you whatever bullshit explanation they're going to give you afterwards is actually out of fucking context. And of course, y'all know the hatred that I have for Rebekah is fucking motivating. So she says some shit, it makes me think. And I actually did some homework. Y'all know I don't do homework. Motherfucking scientists, I don't have time to be doing extra homework for my YouTube channel. But I had to dig into the little biblical studies and all the fucking nerdery on this shit. And gang, like it's quite obvious that this explanation she's about to give us is sitting on some absolute bull. I gotta let her get through her. I'm gonna let her give it to you, and then I'm gonna tell y'all why this is fucked up. But understand something. That whole you're taking it out of context, that is some nonsense, gang. Some fucking nonsense.
In the cultural situation by the people who initially read this.
Expression.
We don't know what this is talking about. Now, some commentaries have suggested that this is not just cross-dressing, okay? This isn't about this
Now,
verse.
boom. There's more of the cherry picking, right? Now, I'm telling you, when you spend all day, all night cherry picking, and then you go to cherry picking school so I can get a master's in cherry picking, you learn how to cherry pick for Jesus. You understand what I'm telling you? And so, some commentaries say, right? It's the little shit. They use subtle linguistic phrases to do a whole lot of lifting, right? And so some commentaries say, why is that a problem? Because it means a person's probably about to misrepresent the consensus scholarship, right? Because for the most part, like, notice how most biblical scholars try to accurately represent that. They're like, oh, the consensus is this, the consensus seems to be that, most interpretations of this, right? Because we want to know where's the weight of the evidence. When you need to cherry pick, you got to go reaching out for the stuff that, you know, could be right. And then, of course, it's going to be questionable. And her 10-minute video or whatever isn't a long enough format to really get into it. So a charitable listener is just going to let her get away with some commentary say. But let's hear what she thinks some commentary say and see where we go from there.
This isn't about cross-dressing. It has a specific cultural a situation where it's actually talking about warfare,
okay.
And it says
talking about warfare.
Where it says a woman must not wear men's clothing. In my translation, the actual word in Hebrew is not clothing; it's keli, which is a tool or instrument of war.
All right, now
it's
again, back to real interesting stuff. Unless you are a super nuanced biblical scholar and you are trying to make like some crazy esoteric point, like this is bullshit and you're probably an apologist, because again, why start off the discussion with, yeah, if you go to the Bible and if you just pick up a Bible off the bookshelves, boom, you're gonna pick it up. Boop, it's gonna be like, yeah, a man shouldn't wear a woman's clothing and a woman shouldn't wear a man's clothing. For either to do so is a fucking abomination, right? And then she's gonna be like, but my Bible over here. Well, see, actually, these words could be interpreted. You know, there's about 8 different words you could use. And so if you used this one word here, then yeah, it takes on a whole new meaning. And like, bro, this is just hand wavy fucking nonsense. This is literally nonsense. And this is literally how she does her sleight of hand apologetics. And it's so frustrating.
Clothing at all. And so
all right, now here's what's cool. If you actually read it, like, if you actually, it's Deuteronomy chapter 22, right? If y'all read chapter 21 and then read chapter 22, you'll realize something very interesting. And then it's very interesting also to just read the commentaries on it, because they all pretty much say the same thing. We're actually done talking about the war laws by this point, right? Y'all even know, like, when you go through like pretty much any modern Bible, right? There's like the section headings, you know what I'm talking about, where it basically says like what the next, you know, few passages or whatever are actually about, right? There's like fucking big ass fucking titles. The sections have titles, you know what I'm saying? And like you literally see and read how it lays out the provisions for conquered lands, right? And again, like Christians, like, you're the ones who are taking things out of context, because like the context is like your Bible sucks, your God's a fucking monster, and y'all are monstrous people. Because literally she's like, no, gang, you don't understand. Like, you guys are taking this out of context. This is about war. Yeah, this is about when you genocide, when God gives you a land and then you genocide them motherfuckers. All right. Like God just laid out in Deuteronomy kind of the do's and don'ts for pre and post genociding motherfuckers, right? That's what she's saying. That's the defense. That's the defense. No, gang, this isn't about anti-cross-dressing. This is how not to be a coward when God tells you to take over fucking land of entire and kill off all the people. Right? This is literally the same section of the Bible where we get the law about, if a man and a woman are caught together, but he was engaged, then you stone them both to death. But if he forced himself upon her, then he's got to marry her, and like all that crazy shit is like right in here. So this is where she wants us to go for clarity about how we should deal with these issues. And the great thing we're gonna find is that that passage isn't really talking about cross-dressing. Thanks, Christians. That's fucking lovely. And the other thing is as plain as day that she's wrong. She's wrong. Like they lay out the war stuff, and then they go back to what you might consider domestic and miscellaneous matters. What to do, if you see your brother's donkey falling over, and all of this stuff. And then if you read commentaries, the commentaries lay out that same argument. That, previously in the prior chapter, we dealt with the war laws, but this is about domestic and miscellaneous laws. This section is not about the war laws. This is not. And then on top of that, what do most commentaries say? Most commentaries say it actually is about cross-dressing. Because that was something that a lot of the other, what we would call pagan now, Gentile cults and other religions did as part of their rituals to other gods. And so this was part of trying to establish, like a lot of things, like their ritualistic purity, right? And so it was basically saying, like, don't be like those Venus worshipers over there, because when they would go into their temples and do their rites from the Christian perspectives, they would have men dressing up like women and women dressing up like men, and Christians like, nah, I can't do that. That's gross. So again, most commentaries are going to tell you actually it was about cross-dressing, and more importantly, it was literally about them being forbidden to do it to distinguish themselves from the heathens and the fucking Gentiles and all of that shit, which is exactly what the people are telling us now, right? They're like, no, we're not going to let people do that. We're not going to, nope, that's some heathen bullshit. Nope, we're Christians. We're going to distinguish ourselves, and we're not going to engage in any of that fucking cross-dressing heathenry. So again, Rebekah, this is not going to help. Because when we have to have the honest conversation meaningfully, we're going to find like, no, people are not taking that out of context. And no, actually, it was definitely about them ritualistically distinguishing themselves from fucking heathens. So that's that. Again, I'm glad you're on board with being trans is not a sin, but you're going to have some better fucking tools in your fucking utility belt if you're going to actually fucking help.
And then, so this may actually be more a command against women dressing for warfare and going out to war as a man would, and also against men disguising themselves in women's clothing in order to avoid going to war or in order to trick the enemy or whatever. So there are some. What I'm saying is we don't really know the situation and the context in which this is referring to. And the context in the previous verses and the verses after don't tell us anything about the meaning of this verse. But let's just even say this verse is just flat out referring to cross-dressing, that that it's just inappropriate for people to cross-dress. Well, still, again, we're talking about something very different when we're talking about trans people. They're not just cross-dressing, right? And additionally, this verse in Deuteronomy 22 is part of the covenant that God made with the Israelites. It does not apply to us today. We have a new covenant with God, and these laws are not part of our covenant with God. And there are things in these laws.
All right, now this is just more straight up cherry picking. Please notice how every single time you get a chance, Christians are reminding you about the 10 Commandments and how you can and can't do things that are on said list of 10 Commandments from where? The Old Testament. Please notice how we're always constantly dealing with the curse of sin, that even though we had Noah in the fucking ark and fucking Moses setting the people free and Jesus titty Christ dying on the motherfucking cross, somehow we still not have resolved that outstanding issue of sin that arose where? That's right, in the goddamn Old Testament. Please notice how creationist fuckface Rebekah is a literal, actual young earth creationist, which I am not even lying to you, is intellectually indistinguishable from a flat earther or a person who says that 2 + 2 is jar. And yes, Uncle Bobby deserves a lot of credit for that, because that's pretty much who these people are to me. Just intellectually indefensible. All why? Because of her deep and abiding commitment to the fucking realities of the Old Testament. But please notice how anytime we point out any of these actual issues, it's, oh no, well, that's the old covenant, and we're actually in the third covenant, because there was the old covenant, then there was the Jesus covenant, then Jesus promised us that he was going to come back, and he sent us his spirit to be upon us, and that was the day of Pentecost, and now we're in the third covenant, and in the third covenant, there's only 2 laws: love God and love Jesus, and whatever. Like, I'm done. This is nonsense. It's just absolute nonsense, and it's the epitome of cherry picking. And again, please take that shit to your church on Sunday morning, because they are not going to buy what you are selling. Then come over to the progressive side, over here on the left, over to the atheist corner where we'll be hanging out, and we are not buying that shit either. So while like you're just in no man's land, literally, you're just like you're literally. The Christians are not going to buy this nonsense. The atheists are not going to buy this nonsense. The fucking cis allies are not going to let you anywhere near any of the trans people in our lives with this fucking nonsense. So again, I'm really happy that you agree that being trans is not a sin, but boy, whoo, we got some work to do, Becky.
That we totally do all the time that would have been prohibited in that covenant, such as the food laws. We eat pepperoni pizza. Most Christians shop on Saturday and do different things that would not have been allowed according to those laws. So, to apply those laws and is to resubject people to a covenant that is no longer valid. But
I just again, so like cool, like cool story. Like this is just so like it's the Christianese that bothers me, gang. It's the idea that you and I and Lord, I know I love our queer community. I know y'all are listening. I appreciate y'all listening to me, but I'm gonna guess that between 0 and 0 of you are going to go to sleep just so warm and comfy in your bed tonight and realize that it's not a big deal that, people are being barred from sports and public facilities and they can't get health care and they're fleeing the state and, having mental health issues and often dealing with harm and violence and all this stuff. And you're like, oh, well, we're under the new covenant, and that was the old covenant. And as soon as these Christians realized that that was a misunderstanding because we're not under the old covenant, and I probably wasn't talking about cross-dressing anyway. Oh, everything's gonna be all right. Everything's gonna be like, no, it just. I'm sorry, gang. Tell me if I'm wrong. If that is bringing peace and solace to you, I'll accept the correction. But that's my wild guess.
Even so, the most we could say about this is that this is referring possibly to cross-dressing, which is not what we're talking about. We're talking about trans people. So, some Christians will say, well, yes, but it's not about the clothing. It's not about that. It's not about what the Bible says about the clothing. It's about how God created us, male and female, and trans people are just blurring the lines there, and they're lying to themselves. And so we can't participate in a people's deception. Well,
gang, I'm sorry. I have to tell you, I am a fundamentalist, counter-evangelical, counter-apologist because I think that we need to start with an honest dialogue based on a plain reading of the Bible. Like I'm sorry, like I'm gonna sound like my Pentecostal grandparents. The Bible says what the Bible says, and here's the thing that I think that is helpful about that. Number one, I think that is the honest. As an academic, I don't know where else you want to go, right? Like. I don't see any other academic field that's taken seriously that proceeds this way, right? Be it English or rhetoric or literature studies or history, whatever, I'm trying to create like a wide berth of social sciences that literally deal with culturally produced text and manuscripts, right? You will find I've never come across a field that literally argues against a plain reading of the text, right? It's all about what the text says, right? And then you understand it and blah 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 blah, right? So this is crazy, like to because what does it even mean, right? What is the Bible supposed to be? Like every Christian says, like the Bible is supposed to be the Word of God and it's God's message to you. So you mean God didn't mean to say what he said in his message to you? I always say, like, I really sometimes wish God and Jesus were real just so I could like pull up on them, have them pull up when Christians are talking about them, right? Like when a Christian says, well, that was, and God really did it. Like, don't you wish you could just hit up God on the phone? Yo, God, you ain't gonna believe what these Christians, God, they really saying you ain't know what you was, they say you was on some shit in Deuteronomy. Yeah, they said that Deuteronomy shit is whacked out, bro. They said you ain't know what you was talking about. Yeah, no. Yeah, they said that wasn't even about cross-dressing. Yep. And this bitch said, we don't even gotta pay attention to the Old Testament. Because we under the new covenant. That's right. Like, could you imagine if you just said, "Oh wait, hiding behind this screen, here's Jesus." Say that shit to Jesus' face. Right? They are such punks. They would never, right? If God or Jesus was in the room, that Bible would mean every single word exactly as it is written, as they are sitting there trembling in fear, oh Jesus, oh Lord, you make your word. Oh, I know your word is perfect, God. Oh, I know your word is perfect, Lord. Oh, I know your word is perfect, Lord. Right? Get the fuck out of here with your fucking reinterpretation, man. All right, with punk ass Christians. All right. Second off, gang, that is actually how you get the proper context, right? Where am I going with this? I sound like the evangelicals because I think they have a point to make. God clearly gives them these laws, and he's like, I swear to God, if a man puts on a skirt, that's like, murk them. Like, they're both an abomination, throw them into the fire, stone them until they die, right? And then literally he does make this distinction, this incorrect distinction that doesn't match science or what we've learned about reality at all, of male and female and male and female and male and female. And so that is integral to their what they thought, how they saw that world, how they understood that message, and how they've continued to understand that message right up until now. And all you have to do is ask anybody that isn't trying to whitewash and gaslight you, and they will literally tell you that they're interpreting it the same way that's been passed down from generation to generation and generation and generation and generation and generation, based on a plain reading of the Bible and a consistent interpretation of what it is trying to say about the way the world is. I'm glad you've understood that it's fucked up, but you got to now understand that it's fucked up. And you're not going to make it better by pretending that, oh, this is all just a misunderstanding. That is not how you deal with conflict. That's not how you solve conflict. It's actually how you paper over the conflict, and then you create more wounds. You create more wounds because you tell everybody, oh, this was all a big misunderstanding. So you guys, you're okay. Oh, no, you don't owe these people anything. You guys were just reading it a little. And you guys have nothing to worry about. They're fine. They're not gonna hurt you. They're fine. They're Christians. They love everybody. Come on, you guys are cool, right? And this is gonna lead to more abuse. What does she want us to do? Invite all our Christian friends to sing some worship songs and have a Jesus float in the Pride Parade? And swing by the Woeful social on the way back? Is that what? Because gang, that's what I'm not here to do. Right? Like, I'm happy Christians want to realize that your all stance on queer issues and this whole thing is fucked up. Y'all have been the problem in the goddamn room. And it's a confession, y'all. I was a Christian too. And one of my biggest moral failings as a Christian was not leaving Christianity based on how bigoted it is against queer people alone. I shouldn't have needed no deconstruction. I shouldn't have needed to realize that Christianity is the religion that was used to enslave my ancestors. I shouldn't have needed to realize that creationism is sitting on some bullshit. Yeah, all that's helpful. But when I look at what a moral person does, a moral person would look at what's going on and be like, who are these people that are fucking up my queer fam? Oh, y'all are sitting on some bullshit. Why y'all doing this? What does this book say? Oh, fuck, I'm out of here, Jack. I'm gone. My last day in this cult was yesterday. So that is a disappointment that so many other, things we overlooked, right, when we were still in the faith, but we grew, and part of growing was recognizing, yeah, I shouldn't overlook that. That was fucked up. And now we have to deal with the real and try to be part of the solution, because we were certainly part of the problem. And I think Rebekah is trying to give herself and so many other Christians a pass, rather than really having the sort of evangelical Christianity take a look in the mirror, because that's what we need. We need them to take a good hard look in the mirror based on that fundamentalist fucking in plain reading of the fucking scripture and how it's influenced, so much of our society. But they're never going to do that so long as they're allowed to cherry pick this scripture and go for the eighth interpretation of the word and cherry pick which scholars they're going to listen to and argue for esoteric interpretations, and then say, we got our third covenant get out of jail free card with Jesus. Like, it's just, this is a mess.
I understand that view, but we have to recognize that there's a lot of ambiguity. We can say that in
Don't forget to
general,
lay
there's
hands on that
male
like
and there's
button. I love
female,
that
but
truth.
there are people who don't match up with that physically. There are intersex people, and there are people who have chromosomes that don't exactly match up, male and female. And so,
And again, you just can't do this, y'all. This is a problem for me because I'm gonna tell y'all a little bit of the personal beef. You know, some of y'all should probably know this history, but the reason I want to super kick this woman in the face is because she sat up here and not just with me, but with a bunch of other scientists and educators, really took a lot of our time trying to have genuine, productive, educational conversations with this human being. And I called her out on how disrespectful it is to our work. I even made it clear that, like, I think it's pretty dehumanizing. Like, to just, I think it's up there with, like, calling me a nigger. Like, you might as well call me a nigger to my face, right? If you're going to literally pretend that my field and the work we do doesn't exist, right? Because you're basically telling me that, like, I spent 3 hours this afternoon. The reason I started this stream late as shit is because I spent on a 3-hour meeting working on a grant proposal that we got to get done in crazy soon amount of time so we can try to train future scientists in evolution. And this raggedy bitch is sitting up there acting like what are we doing? Like, we're just engaging in some conspiracy, and we're training. What are we, lying to children so they can lie to more children? Like, it's really infuriating. And she was all like apologetic and, oh, I'm gonna think about, like, how much I come out against evolution because I don't want my scientist friends to think I'm being disrespectful to their work, right? And then a little while after that, she, like, went away for a while, and then she came back doubling down on being even stronger against evolution and being even more broadly anti-scientific. She, like, rebranded her second channel from examining evolution to examining origins. So, like, what am I getting at? It's infuriating for me to sit here and have somebody talk about, oh, well, we know about people who are intersexed, and we know about people who have different chromosomes, and we know about, and I'm like, how, Rebekah? How? Look in a fucking mirror and ask yourself, how do we know these things? Because we know them from biology. We know them because they're the same fucking shit that is the evidence that we evolved. And if you are not going to get on board with the rational, reasonable person's scientific toolkit, how fucking dare you use it to try to, like, explain to the rest of us the fucking biological reality? Like, really? I'm supposed to listen to a Young Earth creationist sit here and tell us the way TI is with fucking intersex people and chromosomal variation and all of this shit. This is how you know a person knows they're lying. Rebekah knows she cannot pass a fucking 10th grade biology class without reflecting a genuine understanding of the fucking scientific reality of the world. That means we are evolved, that we were not created, that the fucking earth is fucking billions of years old, and so is life, and that the fucking human beings have been around for a fucking 250,000 years or more. The fuck is she talking about? Is she gonna sit up here and talk about chromosomes? Again, the audacity.
you know, to say that there's only male and female strictly just does not correspond to the physical reality. That may have been the way that God created in the beginning, but things have not stayed that way. Well, since there are people who don't fit neatly into these categories of male and female physically, can't we also understand that there are people who mentally and emotionally do not fit neatly into the category of male or female, and that gender dysphoria is not something that is sinful. It's
Again,
just
trans is not gender dysphoria, and gender dysphoria is not trans. Matter of fact, when people get to transition freely, openly, and successfully, they don't have gender dysphoria. They actually have this other thing. They call it gender euphoria. Yeah. They're like, yo, my gender shit feels good. I'd be jealous. People are like, wait. I just been doing cis het, regular experience. It's not something I'm euphoric about. Wait, y'all have like a euphoric experience in gender? God damn, I want to try that shit. All right, we gotta stop. Oh, gang, trans is beautiful. We gotta stop acting like the whole picture of trans is it's dark and it's a sickness and it's an ailment and people are suffering and it's awful. It's unfortunately, Christians, there are a lot of people going through gender dysphoria, and man, y'all ought to look in the mirror and ask some very hard questions as to why so many people are dealing with gender dysphoria. But trans is beautiful. You just got to start to understand it. We got to correct that early and often.
Condition that some people have, and so when people have a condition that causes them discomfort, we treat them medically, we help them, we accommodate them. And so it is not sinful to accommodate someone's gender dysphoria. It is not sinful to help them accommodate physically to this mental or emotional, psychological condition. Some Christians will still say yes, but if a man is a biological man,
gang, I gotta just say, I felt bad for her there. Cause y'all feel the labor? Like, that's all right. You know what, Rebekah? I'm gonna give you like, I don't know, what was that, like eight or nine hand claps? Because she really is trying very hard to make this gospel message pro-trans, but she's got to do all the tap dancing. She can't talk too seriously about biology. She can't say evolution. She's got to still make it like we're being biblical and we're holding to scripture, but then we got to get around this covenant and the laws. And I mean, Becky's singing for her supper. You know what I'm saying? She working it.
And he is a man, and I will not call him a woman because that is participating in a lie. It's a deception. Well, that assumes a couple of things. One is that the most important thing about us is our physicality. Is that really what's the most important part of being human? I think Christians of all people should recognize that there's much more to being human than just your physical body. So it wouldn't be participating in a deception to call someone according to how they perceive themselves. But the other thing it assumes is that you would be participating in a lie just by describing someone in a way that they are presenting themselves as. So, for example, let's say I dyed my hair black tomorrow, and then you wanted to describe me to someone. Would it be a lie or a deception to describe me as having black hair?
This is just a terrible comparison because this is, I don't know. I know that it's hard for people, I guess, who don't identify with this to try to like come up with metaphors, but like the idea that like, well, I could change my shirt and then, would you treat me differently because I had on a blue shirt instead of a green one? Like this is just stupid. This has nothing to do with the issue, and it's a problem. Also, again, like, I don't know, for me, gang, like, to me, like, a lot of this is the truth will set you free, essentially. Like, we just this doesn't help us. It's much better to me to like understand that we're all we're evolved creatures. We're animals, right? So she's like basically like telling us that we shouldn't force people to deny who we are, but she wants us to all she wants our entire species to deny the reality of our shared common ancestry with the rest of the living creatures. And then again wants to gaslight us about the cultural context of the biblical scriptures, where to me, the biblical scriptures are helpful because when I, as somebody who wasn't around a long time ago, feel like our prejudice against the queer community is so deep seated, it feels like racism in the sense that it has always been with us, or is all, or you know, it has been with us for time immemorial, right? Like we just can't even think about. I don't know. We've always been fucked up in this weird way, and when you go back in history and you see caste systems and slavery systems and economic systems, all these systems, and prejudiced on features and culture and heritage and skin color is always like a part of it. You're like, okay, like that's okay. Okay. That's the foundation, right? That's what we inherited. That's the reality. That's what we're working against. That's where we're at. That's what we've got to deal with. And I think I feel the same way about these passages, right? They show us that as much as we can say we learn from understanding that these people have always been with us, that there's always been cultures that acknowledged intersex people, third and fourth genders, whatever it might be. It's also helpful to understand that these prejudices are deeply rooted in our culture as well. And we can see that in the Bible. And therefore, we can get a real clue as to the way they were seeing things and the way they were thinking things, and what those laws were. And you go, yeah, I mean, if they saw, you know, this as part of how they distinguished themselves from other groups, and then, you know, they're following these, you know, Levitical laws, and it says that this or that is an abomination, and they're also, you know, very keen on, you know, this whole gender binary, you know, okay, like we could work with that, right? We don't want to like sand over the truth, make it all smooth and pretty, because then we don't know how we got here. But again, like, you got to be willing to have an honest, meaningful conversation. And that's what's going to be tough for Christians, because that honest, meaningful conversation is a hell of a lot harder than just saying God loves everybody. Oh, this is a big misunderstanding. Oh, trans is cool with me because Jesus loves everybody. But the even bigger problem is this is the way to bow out of the conversation when the conversation isn't going to do anything. We have work to do. Like, we are hopefully using these conversations as an educational tool, as a sharing tool, as a perspective sharing tool. That way we get more informed, but then each of us has to consider what we're going to do about this, especially right now. Because again, fuck the cultural context your Bible is written in. I'm trying to deal with the cultural context of what the fuck is going on in the world right now. And what's going on in the world right now is trans people and the queer community at large, or trans people in particular, right now are under attack, you know, in a way that's got black folks going, God damn, leave the trans people alone. Like, yo, it's fucked up, you know, like we know this, you know, this second class citizen, you know, treating your bodies and your communities and your spaces like they're disposable and straight up terrorizing your life because it's politically convenient at the moment is a tale as old as time. So what are we gonna do? And again, if all you're gonna do is say it's not a sin, thoughts and prayers, you know, we're good to go. Oh, Christians, don't even worry about it. Christians, don't worry. It was just a misunderstanding. You're good to go. Like, no. Again, Christians, I really think you need to do some reflecting and maybe even feel a certain degree of shame. And I know that some people may not like that message, but that's how I feel, right? This is something I've done a lot of reflecting on. And when I think about the fact that I wasn't more morally repulsed from Christianity and didn't become a more active detractor of the faith and the cult just based on its discrimination of the queer community, is something that I, you know, feel a certain degree of shame about, like other behavior in the past that I'm not proud of.
To qualify it with no, actually, she has light brown hair, but she's just pretending her hair is black. Therefore, you know, she doesn't have black hair. The black hair is a convenient descriptor. It's how we recognize each other. You know, to call somebody who was born biologically a man a woman does not mean you have to deny the reality of his.
They were assigned male at birth. They were not born biologically a man. This is again, I don't like this. This is not a helpful way to talk to people. It's not a helpful way to talk about biology. I'm telling you, I don't see that as a biologically accurate way to describe the situation. We would say that, for instance, a trans man is a man, and nothing about them being a man is any more or less biological than any other man. They might be a trans man who was assigned female at birth, but that is more or less basically us saying, like, yeah, we got this wrong because we have some other fucked up procedure for how we assign these things to babies, which, like, maybe we shouldn't even do, because, like, do we really need to do this? Like, is this like, do we really have to do this right now? Like, does it matter, right? But, like, we did that, and yeah, we fucked that up. That's what that means. So again, like, I would not say to a trans person that they were not biologically their gender. That's just incorrect. It's just totally incorrect. Assigned X at birth means we fucked up their medical records. Period. End of story.
Biology. You can be totally truthful about his biology, but still,
nope, not if you're on this Rebekah Davis tip.
To how he is presenting himself. Well, and I guess that's the final thing.
That's the problem. That's a misgendering of people. You think the solution is Christians to walk up to trans men and be like, yeah, listen, I know you're biologically a woman, but I'm cool with calling you he anyway. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Are you serious? Like, this is what I mean. Like, y'all are not helpful because you're not willing to actually sit down, get educated, read some fucking books that are not the Bible. It's like you're always 8 steps behind the rest of the fucking class. You're always, like, y'all should have learned this in grade school. We're in high school on this shit. We're trying to get to college on these issues, and y'all are still A, B, C, D. I mean, this is not working. Like, so even in these, like, this is what was triggering to me, right? There's all these little things, and I do feel a bit like I didn't even know if I should do this, right? Because I felt a bit of that like that bat, like that a bit of like, come on, Jay, if Christians are going to say it's not a sin to be trans, shouldn't we just smile for the family photo and be happy that these particular Christians are, saying that it's not a sin? And I'm like, I get that. And again, the queer community's lives are at risk. So every Christian that is not weaponized and violent against them, I am genuinely happy to applaud that. But if you want a seat at the table of the people that are trying to solve this problem and do something about it, you're gonna have to do better, because we need a meaningful, genuine conversation about Christianity and Christian, because that's what Christianity is to the rest of us. I know to you, Christianity is you and the 15th covenant with Jesus twice over on Sunday, and whatever your particular promise is that Jesus is gonna keep for you. But for the rest of us, Christianity is what the fuck Christians do in the world around us. If Christians are like, we just raised a gazillion dollars by probably just paying our taxes, and we just donated it all to like cancer research and establishing like a national fucking minimum income and free community college for everybody, we're gonna be like, Christianity's fucking wonderful. What? Magic shit cult about Jesus? Yeah, whatever. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, y'all believe some weird ass shit, but congratulations on the good work. I mean, y'all are awesome. Y'all are really doing good shit. Instead, right, we're like, why do Christians insist on controlling the government? And why do they insist on oppressing women, black people, and the queer community at all costs when they run the government? And why are they banning trans bookstores and in fucking drag queen story time and burning books because 2 male penguins adopt another penguin? Did you even know? Did you be honest? Did you even know there was an award-winning book about 2 male penguins adopting? No, you didn't know. You didn't know. You didn't fucking know. Nobody knew about these fucked up ass penguins. Nobody gave a shit about some fucking kids book about penguins until the right-wing conservative Christians lost their goddamn minds about it. So again, that's the conversation we gotta have. Why is this your thing? Why the fuck are Christians more loyal, only second to fucking Jesus, to a fucking insurrectionist asshole who is promising to end the trans agenda on day one? Why are there a disproportionate amount of Christians wanting to vote for an insurrectionist traitor who literally says, fuck spending 800 years in prison, Fuck the fact that I've been charged with the most heinous crimes imaginable. Fuck the fact that I fucked up everything in this fucking country. You know what? I think I should run for office again. I think y'all should elect me president. And I think the very first thing I should do is just put an end to all of this trans nonsense. Christians, that is the fucking conversation we need to have. Not this fucking, oh no, you took Leviticus out of Deuteronomy out of context. It was actually talking about instruments of war, because when you genocide people, it's not appropriate for the men to dress up like they're women to avoid genociding. God don't like that shit. God needs every able male body genociding on command at all times. Fucking dressing up like a fucking maiden so you can fucking sweep the fucking floors and get out of dying. No. God don't play that shit. That's what that was about. Did we clear that up? Yeah. And make sure that rape victim marries her fucking rapist. Yeah. Glad we cleared that up. See, we're good. No, come on, queer community. Come on, let us come to Pride. We're ready to solve all our issues. We've cleared it all up now. Fuck out of here.
People might object to is that they might say, well, your body is a temple, and making these physical changes to your body is a sin. Well, if that is true, then we have to call a lot of things sinful, such as plastic surgery and tattoos, and some Christians do call tattoos sinful. But what I'm saying is we make physical changes to our bodies without calling it sinful. And making a physical accommodation for a gender dysphoric person is helping them live a more fruitful life, in many cases a happier and a more productive life. So it is not a sin to make an accommodation, a physical accommodation for a person with gender dysphoria. And there's not really much else to say about this.
We just say trans people. We want to talk about trans people, so we're just going to talk about trans people. That's step number one, Christians. All right. Good.
Trans people, you are loved by God.
Fuck out of here. Trans people, you are loved by the people who fucking love you. Just like black people and all other marginalized people, we just need people to stop marginalizing us. And then we can be loved freely by the people that love us. And that is actually how we solve this shit. It's really not that hard. But again, and this is what I can't do. I am not listen, I know a lot of y'all trying to be down for the cause. You know, a lot of black people, they Christian as fuck. And you don't want no parts of it. Like, they're so seriously Christian. You're like, yo, I can't. Like, I'm going to just let black people be Christians. I get it. Like, I really do get it. Like, I get it. Like, some of them people, man, they're so Christian, right? Like, I get it. I was raised by them people. But I don't endorse any black people being Christians, because that's the religion that was used to enslave our people. And then on top of that, it's just not true. And so my new model is hashtag black people deserve the truth. Like, it's just that simple. Like, black people deserve the truth. So I'm not going. So Christians, y'all could try to build many bridges, and y'all could sing Negro spirituals as you walk across the bridge and all of that shit. I am never going to encourage black people to head over to Christianity land, because this shit's not fucking true. And black people deserve the truth, and Christianity is the culture of the fucking cult of our oppressors. So fuck that shit. Nope. I mean, so I get, that's my thing. So it's like, look, if you really want to go hang out with them Christians, like, you free to do you, but brother, I think you deserve the truth, and I wouldn't go hang out with them. So that's where I'm at, my queer community. Like, I'm not encouraging them to feel the love of a non-existent God. Like, it's hard enough being queer as it is. You don't really need to add wishful thinking in fucking empty promises to your list of concerns. Like, you just don't worry, be happy. You know what I'm talking about? Like, no, This is what I mean. Like, she's just a salesman for the oppressor. This was really all just PR, just schmoozing. Let me just smooze our way into pride so we can do some evangelizing, so we can remind those queers that no matter where they go, Jesus will be there. You can't get away from Jesus. So no thanks.
Just the way you
Be
are,
kind.
and it is not a sin to
Great.
be trans.
Congratulations. Awesome.
Christians, if you disagree with me on this, then let's talk about it.
They do.
I'm planning to host a live discussion on this topic.
Gross.
And
All right, so she did a live discussion. I was thinking about maybe doing that, but I was like, I can't handle that much. It's all so bad. It's all so bad. No, all right, gang. I was sitting on some bullshit. I hope y'all understand why I just thought that was terrible. I just because it's patronizing for somebody to pretend they care without showing they care, without like meeting the standard of care, without getting an education, without really, and it all comes down to the fatal flaw. Christians cannot engage sincerely and meaningfully on these issues because they really do get at deeper issues that they'd have to, I think, challenge their faith to come away from. Like, a lot of churches successfully rewrite their story. But I think a lot of people walk away in the interim. So you might take something like, I don't know, some crazy Pentecostalist church from like back in the day, right? And they used to be real racist, and they had a bunch of, child scandals and all of this shit going on, right? And now you look at them and they're like a hugely successful, billion-dollar ministry with like campuses all over, and they've got a great YouTube presence and a little university, and they're thriving. They got the happy young people, right? And they might even have like a place where they acknowledge their past and all this, right? They've rebranded themselves, right? But those are very different people, right? The people who were around for the problematic stuff, those people have left, moved on, or died. And I feel like we're kind of in that place with Christianity overall, where to me the jig is up. And there may come a time where it's evolved and morphed into some other thing, but right now it's knee deep in dog shit. Right? It's like every fucking denomination and major fucking organization has a sex scandal. You said your Christian organization doesn't have a sex scandal? Hang on, wait about 5 seconds. They do now. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy, man. Christian sex scandals, like mass shootings. Like it's not a matter of if your church has one. It's like when and how bad, when and how many bodies. You know what I mean? Like that's where we're at. Like the all of the social issues, like y'all are on the wrong side of. Y'all are the camp misogyny, camp racism, camp class war, camp anti-science. Y'all just Christians. How can you be a Christian after COVID? How can you be a Christian after COVID? Christian, look yourself in the mirror and say these words to yourself. Look in the mirror and say these words. You don't give a fuck about anything except what Jesus can do for you. You are a selfish piece of shit. And don't fucking come at me with, oh Jay, you don't be mean. Don't go yelling and cursing at us, calling us selfish pieces. Have you read the Bible? What I am saying about you is not shit compared to how fucked up your God thinks you are. Your God thinks you are so decrepit that unless you lick his booty hole at exactly the right angular rotation with exactly the right level of moisture on your tongue at all fucking times, you are deserving of the most horrible, unimaginable torture forever. At least my fucking ass-kicking words will come to an end shortly. But seriously, how can you be a Christian after COVID? How? How? We literally were like, hey, churches are the epicenter of disease. People are dying in droves because they went to church. Y'all were like, so when can we go to church? When can we go to church? Can we go to church? Can we go to church? Why'd y'all close the church? Why'd y'all? Did you not close the church? Oh my God, they closed the church! Ah, they closed the church! Really? 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 Y'all were anti every single health measure to save lives. Y'all were like, we're not social distancing, we're not masking, we're not vaccinating, we're not working from home, we're not doing any of that shit. All right, you fuck all of that. Christian, how can you still be a Christian? How? You just don't. You just look yourself in the mirror and admit to yourself that you don't give a flying fuck about anything except what Jesus can do for you. Y'all have been on the wrong side of every issue. How have you not noticed this by now? Terrible. Terrible. Yes, of course. Slavery. I can't. Slavery, crusades. Hitler is a novice. Okay, Hitler's genocide is like a warm up lap for God. Okay, God literally does so much genociding. Like, the funny thing is, like, y'all, Rebekah tried to tell us that passage wasn't really about cross-dressing because it was actually about the Deuteronomical laws about war. Gang, please understand that I hate the Bible. I'm not my one black friend. I don't love the Bible and give it all of these great praises, but you should read that section. You will find that it is explicitly all about genociding. But yeah, go ahead, Steph. I dropped the link there, and I'll wait for you. But yeah, that's it, it's a really weird section. About my 15th black friend. Yeah, no, my one black friend's actually this is my co-host name. But yeah, he actually really enjoys the creative writing and structure of the Bible, and I'm normally not. I have like traumatic. I think reading the Bible is a traumatic trigger for me. So I typically don't enjoy it, but I did do some Bible studying related to this stream. Yeah, we don't want to stop the number one mass spreader of COVID in the U.S. We want to pray about it in mass crowds. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's you know, I mean, I'm obviously it's better that she doesn't think it's a sin. I just, uh, you know, I guess I'm trying to stay out of that Christian crossfire. And I wish you would just find a more honest way to do it, you know. Um, you know, I guess I guess if I had to rate her arguments, the argument that we're under some kind of new covenant that doesn't require us to pay attention to Deuteronomical laws. I just have such a hard time with all of that stuff because it's, to me it's like playing a game that gets into a deeper problem. Like I always want to like I have a hard time taking compromise positions with Christianity. Like and that's my own thing because I just think it is such a problem itself that I'm not trying to make a softer version of it because I just think that this doesn't get us to the truth. Hey, Steph.
Hey, can you hear
How's
me?
it going? Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, good. I am back on the iPad as my computer is doing funky things at the moment. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, this is kind of all AFU. Uh, I'm of mixed emotions when it comes to people trying to support trans folk. And I do
Me too, I
appreciate
think.
I do appreciate Rebekah reaching out because it's gonna take Rebekah doing that to change hearts and minds. We're not gonna do it. You're not gonna do it. We're not gonna make that we're not gonna make that switch for the people that think Rebekah's got a good head on her shoulders. And it's fucking important that more people get on board with the idea that we don't need to be fucking squashed like bugs.
Right, exactly.
That's
yeah.
my problem here is it's like this is existential. If you've got a Rebekah going, trans people aren't aren't cockroaches, they're people.
Right.
It may be it may not be, it may not be some sort of all encompassing endorsement of the transgender lifestyle, which is a whole bunch of bullshit that
Right.
people are stepping in all over the place. I mean, the transgender lifestyle. Guess what I did tonight? Today. I won a couple of sailboat races. That's the transgender lifestyle.
Right, that's the lifestyle.
Fuck you, fuck all y'all. It's like, no, we're just people. And to the extent that you have a bread of life saying, well, these people are the leaven in the bread of life, and if you kick them out, you're gonna have fucking matzah for the rest of your fucking lives. And that's good. That's good
Absolutely.
to me. So it's it's really fucking hard to have the back and forth. And the thing that's really funny is that if someone is at that point to recognize the humanity in all of us, then why can't they go the next step and let go of the God who tells them there isn't, that it's not there?
Yeah.
I mean,
I
and
don't.
I think
It's
that's what
tough.
I
Yeah.
would love to see people do, but it's not necessarily going to happen.
Yeah. I think that's the tough thing for me is
Yeah.
it's hard for me. It's hard to sign off on solutions that don't involve something honest or something truthful that we can work towards. But then there's the practical side, and I tried to, with you in mind, largely, Stephanie, remember that it was important to acknowledge that I agree with her that it's not a sin, and I'm glad she doesn't think it's a sin, right? What it was more for me is it was part of it is like reflecting to what it was like when I was a Christian. And sometimes it's just going, this is one of those things where if I heard, say, Rebekah talk about this at a church or engage with a pastor or something on this, I would be on her side morally, but I think she'd have a tough case to make, right? And that's that's kind of where I'm at with it. But that's where the mixed emotions come in, right? It's like I'm totally glad when a Christian agrees that slavery is awful and that's bad and you shouldn't do it. But then when they're going to try to tell me that, you know, and the Bible isn't endorsing it, okay, well,
Yeah,
that's
but it is. Yeah, but it is. That's where it kind of breaks down for me. It's like, okay, I can be a good Christian if I make up my own Christianity.
right.
And but at the same time, who's to say that everybody from Paul onward is making up their own Christianity? And it's not like I'd be unique in that. You get up to Joseph Smith and you're making it up, mate, you know?
Right.
But why do you need that? Why do you need that shit? It's crazy.
Yeah, that's and I don't know. I think this about my family, there's clearly something deep there that they've been convinced they absolutely need. I mean, because I think they've made it pretty clear they're willing to forsake all else. Like they're in that like I there's a commitment to die, right? Committed to this. Um it, it it's a deeply misplaced sense of loyalty in some sense. But yeah, I don't get it. But I will say this. I think it's, for me anyway, it's troubling. Like when I look back, I have a as far as I know a gay cousin, and I feel like she wasn't treated poorly when I was coming up, but the the way we didn't understand, I think, was harmful. Right? It wasn't like a deliberate, it's your grandkids, you're not going to be mean to them, but the way we just,
Okay, so she's in your cohort, so she's
yeah, I think a year older than
30s
me or
ish.
so.
Okay, that's wild.
Yeah.
That to me, that just seems like people in their 40s now. the late, mid 30s to mid 40s are having to deal with this crap. Really?
Yeah, no, I think they. So I
mean,
think
it's
that
fucking crazy.
it's
to me.
great. Yeah, it
It
is.
just blows my mind.
But when I look back at it, I feel it's a real disappointment that I wasn't like, okay, this is weird. I'm out. I don't buy this, because there was a real problem with it, right? There was a real, you know what I mean? There wasn't a problem with her, but there was a problem with it, right? And that's how you talked about it then, right? I don't have and I'm like, how did I like do that juggling? How did I just watch that all happen? And you look back, you were a kid. That's why you did it, because you were a fucking kid and you weren't, you didn't have an adult mind. But certainly, I just really do see it. It's weird. I think I get this from, Barack Obama wrote a book, right? And he talks about, I think, his cannabis use or something. And in a really gross, sort of groveling politician way, he talks about it as a moral failing. And that really stuck out with me, that he thought of this as a like. But that's one of those things that sticks out for me. That's always stuck with me. Like, where are the times that I really like didn't step up to the plate morally? And I just feel like all those years, I had a gay friend in high school, and I just don't know how I didn't ever go, yeah, this Christianity shit is the problem. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, it's troubling that this shit lingers on, and that we have to do this over and over and over again. And I guess it's just a signal. Yep. It's not. History doesn't end. It's, when the Berlin Wall fell, that didn't mean that totalitarianism was gone. When Roe v. Wade was decided in favor of Roe, it didn't mean that the battle about abortion was over. It doesn't mean that the civil rights struggle is over, because the Civil Rights Act of 1965 was passed, because it can be undone by court after court after court decision further on down the road with people who really want to undo this stuff. You need to recognize that actually there are people out there that don't have your best interests at heart. And they
Right.
need to be fought, and they need to be fought constantly. It's not, look around. How old is Matt Powell? Look
Right. Yeah. They're
around.
young.
Look
It's
around.
right.
You're not going to get rid of bigotry when old people die. You're going to get rid of bigotry when you wake up the people around you, when you wake up your own cohort, and the people who are older than you, and the people who were younger than you. It's not a generational thing, or a racial thing, or a class thing, or it's like, people need to wake up and realize that that common decency and common humanity is a principle that is worth fighting for every day of the week.
Yeah, I think.
and
Good.
and you can't just let it go. Can't just let it go and just blame it on somebody else. Oh, well, these people or those people. It's like, I'd much rather be doing other things.
Yeah,
And we all need to be
and we all
doing
need
other
to.
things.
I was just gonna say quickly. I think, to me, capitalism plays a part of this, because I've been thinking about the role of major media, and I think it's more and more obvious that it's all about maintaining the status quo, and you can't, because I think if I was a news organization, or I cared about journalism, the times we live in would demand a commentary about Christianity, a more broad stream conversation. But I think what's happening is, even though we're living in a time of extremism where it's really necessary, when we see it happen, it's carved out very narrowly. Let's talk about white, nationalist, evangelical, blah, 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 blah. We put enough words in front of it so that there's not too many people at home that think we're talking about them, right? And so if we can define it narrowly, then we can, talk about this or that bad extremist group or something, but we're not able to have that broader conversation because we're too worried Pepsi's going to call in the morning and say, "Yeah, I didn't like that segment about maybe we need to have a conversation about should people still believe in Jesus or whatever," But to me, it's like we saw, I think, the Heaven's Gate documentary, right? And it's just very eerie how we're living in this moment, but nobody wants to talk about it.
Yeah, we're, and it's funny you mentioned Heaven's Gate because, the that's apocalyptical thinking, right? Humankind seems to have a propensity for believing that the apocalypse is in fact here and now, that suddenly something's going to change. Well, I'm here to tell you, nothing's going to change. Homo sapiens has been on the planet for tens of thousands of years. And the biggest fundamental change that we've undertaken as a species is agriculture. I mean,
Yeah.
that's basically it. Everything, if you think about it, give a little scintilla of thought. Everything, trigonometry, where'd that come from? Plotting out the land. All of this stuff comes from agriculture. We've figured out how to feed ourselves, for tens of thousands of years. And that's all we're still trying to do. We're trying to feed ourselves. But at the same time, our priests, our the archons of our faiths are all telling us that all of this is meaningless, and what we should be hoping for is a better world beyond when we're dead.
Right.
Well, who does that help? It helps the people that have the fucking keys while we're alive.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's just it is kind of a bunch of it is a steaming pile of bullshit.
Absolutely. Steph, this has been it's just good to be back. Good to see you guys again. I want to go hang out and gather, watch some TV. So why don't you close this out though? Because I appreciate you watching, and this is an issue that affects you more than it affects me. But before you go, let me say this, and I'll say this as my closing thought. I no longer feel unaffected. I think there's growth, at least for me. There's been personal growth, and part of that growth is I think you start as somebody and you see this as an issue that you want to be a good person about. There could be any number of issues that you become aware of, and you kind of would rather have a good stance on it than a bad stance. And then you might reflect and go, oh, you know what? This affects this person in my life or this person in my family. But for me, like especially over the last year or so, like I always say now, I won't even name or count my queer friends because I'll forget somebody. The only real question is it the majority of my friends or the vast majority of my friends? but when it starts to affect that many people, and thanks to people like you, I've seen the effect. Like it's not just an issue you read about, it's an issue that you see the pain it causes people in your life. It just affects you. It just at some point You're like, this is my life because these are the people I love, these are the people I care about, and I can't imagine ever claiming to be unaffected by issues that are this important to them.
Well,
And now I'm done.
you know, it's it's the old blind boys of Alabama, you know, who I don't know where the pardon me, I don't know where the tune comes from. It's traditional, Um, none of us are free. One of us in chains. None of us are free. It's like
Yeah.
you can't you can't let people lag her behind. When somebody's fallen off the bridge, lend them a hand. That's what we should do. Um, and to the extent that a Christian can appreciate the notion of what you've done to the least of these, you've done to me. I mean, that seems like the core principle that could lead people to doing the right thing, and maybe it's leading uh, uh, Bread Life. Maybe it's leading Rebekah into this stream of being affirming and being helpful. Uh, but it's not the mainstream, and uh, uh, it's not where the their ideology uh, is founded and based and focused. And it's like, when Trump gets up and says, y'all, when I mention taxes, you all give us a golf clap. And when I mention trans people, you all go, yeah, 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 yeah. And you didn't even know what that was all about 5 years ago. It's so craven. It's just craven. It's not about anything other than uh, uh, fundraising, money, um, and bullshit. That has nothing to do with real people. And the problem is that real people get left by the wayside and get thrown, and not just left by the wayside, but thrown into the fucking ditch. And people like Trump don't care. They don't care because they've their wagon's firmly on the road. So and
Absolutely.
that's why friendly assholes who just basically go around, well, hate the sinner, love the sin, blah, or hate the sin, love the sinner, blah 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 blah. It's just garbage. It's garbage. No, they're people. They're people. They're people. They're fucking people. You either fucking help people or you don't. Make the choice. You help your gay cousin, you help your trans niece, you help your trans child, or you don't. And the don't part is you torture them. You don't let them live. It's that simple. You know, you let them get married. You don't let them get married. Okay, well, what's the difference of marriage and blah blah blah? You can slice it and dice it any way you like, but you're treating them like they're not human if you don't let them have the uh the the honor of being human. It's nuts. It's really fucking hard for me to understand how anybody can slice and dice it any other way. You either treat people like they're people or you treat them like they're not.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate it. I think that's the main takeaway is that we're people first, and you don't put God over people.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, Steph, I love you. Thank you so much for being here and
Thanks
for
for having
closing
me.
us out.
Cheers.
Missed you guys, gang. It's so good to be back. I'm still moving in, but I expect to see you all tomorrow afternoon for the Blackout and Hot program, hopefully. So otherwise, we'll be in Gather. We'll see you there. Take care, everybody. So good to see you all. Links for the things and the supports and Steph's channel and all that good stuff is down in the description. Go ahead, check that out. But otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a good night.